Hey everyone, welcome to episode 1 of the Birth Bestie podcast.
Welcome to Birth Bestie Radio. We're your hosts, Crystal and Michaela, aka the Birth Besties. We're two passionate educators with 7 kids between us.
During this podcast, we are going to take a fun, lighthearted approach to look at the real truths about pregnancy, birth, and motherhood. In other words, from bump to teen and everything in between. If you're pregnant, you may think that you just go to the hospital and have a baby. But remember, it's equally as important to train for this event like you would any other athletic event. What do you think, Crystal?
I didn't even know that you needed to train for childbirth. And I had no idea that courses even existed to teach me how to have a baby.
Absolutely exist, but finding time to fit in a lengthy childbirth course, that can be really difficult to do. And then your next option is Google. And well, that's just way too overwhelming.
Move over Google and lengthy childbirth classes. Honest Birth Talk is the premier online childbirth course that provides convenient, evidence-based, personalized training at your fingertips.
The Birth Besties, Michaela and Crystal, yours truly, are your personal coaches for pregnancy and birth.
If you're ready to start training for your ideal birth without the hassles of scheduling conflicts, go to www.honestbirthtalk.com and contact us for your free consultation. Welcome to this week's episode on Birth Bestie Radio. Today we're going to cover everything about Birth Bestie Radio and what it is and how it was born and how we met and why we're the Birth Besties.
So Birth Bestie Radio was born from Honest Birth Talk, an online community that provides education, support, and judgment-free conversations for the expectant mom and her people.
And her peeps. So how did we get here? I'm Crystal, so you know my voice, and that's Michaela, and we're going to tell you some stories. But I remember that I met Michaela on the first day of kindergarten for my oldest and her middle. And I remember that she was strolling in, and there was this nice, lovely teacher who was well-intended and screamed across the parking lot, "When are you going to have that baby?" To which Michaela replied, "Yesterday."
Her face was priceless. She was mortified that she had just asked me when I was going to have my baby and that I'd already given birth. But ladies, as many of you might know, or if this is your first pregnancy, you might not know that you leave the hospital looking approximately 6 months pregnant. Apparently, I still looked 9 months pregnant. But, you know, in her defense, it was across the parking lot, so she couldn't quite see me. I didn't have the baby with me because I didn't want to bring my 24-hour-old baby to a germ-infested preschool or kindergarten. But by God, I was not going to miss my daughter's first day of kindergarten.
Right. She got out of that hospital within 24 hours to make it to the first day of kindergarten. And Michaela remembers me and our budding friendship because I wore a matching tracksuit to my husband. That's right. The first day of kindergarten, we decided to show up in black and white Adidas track outfits, matching. Yep. That's where we were in life. Man, it's been a few years, right?
Ladies and gentlemen, this was not in the 1980s. Can I just tell you, it was 2011.
We really love each other, okay? Only certain people can show up in matching track suits and just own it. Like, we didn't even think anything about it. First day of kindergarten, no big deal. Let's just match each other. So really, that is our story of our friendship, and we have been inseparable pretty much ever since. Although Michaela did leave me high and dry when I was pregnant with my twins and moved across the country. But 6 years later, going on 7, we're still best friends, and now we're business partners, and we're hanging out trying to empower moms to take back birth and do things their own way and find their voice, and make choices that are right for them. We both have very unique birth stories, because I mean, this is about birth and pregnancy and motherhood. So maybe we should share a little bit of how we got here. So I'll let Michaela go first. Her stories are better.
Oh, stop. So obviously, in case you haven't noticed yet, this is a podcast where we are going to talk about all things birth and pregnancy and motherhood related. So yes, I have 3 babies, and I'll just say that I had all 3 of them naturally. Timing was not always on the right side for me, but as my husband was in the military. But when I was pregnant with my first, I was addicted to the TLC's. And well, my husband finds me one day lying on the couch after he comes home from work, and I am sobbing, uncontrollably sobbing. And he thinks that something terrible has happened, and he asked me what's wrong, and I said to him, I can't have this baby. And he's like, I think it's a little too late for that. I think you're gonna have to. And I crossed my legs and I said, well, that's not coming out that way. And he said, okay, what's going on? Where is this coming from? And I said, well, I just finished watching the TLC's The Baby Story, and they're all screaming, and it just looks like it's this terrible, horrible experience, and I'm not doing it. So he said, let's go have dinner, and we'll carry this conversation on later. Thankfully, a few days later, I'd come down from that emotional outbreak, and I was talking to a friend, a neighbor of mine, and she mentioned childbirth classes. And I thought, okay, it can't be as bad as The Baby Story.
Right, there's no way it can be that bad.
Right. So I was like, all right, let me get the information. So anyways, long story short, the next time my husband comes home, I'm happy and I'm excited, and I'm like, guess what? We are signed up for a 12-week long childbirth class.
I bet he was excited.
And he was like, well, you do realize I'm in pilot training, right? Yep, absolutely. But we are going to do this, and it's going to be
We're having a baby.
Exactly. So we did take the childbirth class, and we made it through the 12 weeks and ended up having an amazing experience. And so I really became passionate about this because I wanted to stop the mindset of The Baby Story and help people, women like you, get into the mindset of this is an amazing, happy, wonderful time.
Well, and Michaela's story is a little better than my story. So my story was a little more young mom, married, baby, surprise baby. Oh my gosh, what are we doing? And I just thought you show up to the hospital and have a baby. I went to my appointments. They were like 15 minutes long. No one really told me anything other than you're growing really well and everything's going great. And then I didn't know what to do. I watched a lot of The Baby Story, and I just assumed that the medical teams were going to save me, and it was going to be this, like, I'm going to go in and not feel anything and have a baby. So that's kind of what happened, but it ended in a C-section that wasn't ideal. It was traumatic. I was young, and I didn't breastfeed because I was recovering, and it was just, none of it felt good. It felt very strange. It didn't feel empowering. It felt like something traumatic happened to me, and then they handed me a baby and said, here you go. So 12 hours later, they handed me a baby. Yeah, I don't know. She was in the nursery, and they just gave her bottles and pacifiers, and it was just a spiral. So this is why going to the hospital and having a baby is not a great plan, because you just don't know what to expect. You don't know what you don't know. You don't know the right questions to ask. you don't even know what they're hooking you up to. So 7 years later, fast forward, that's whenever I met Michaela on that in the parking lot or at our kids' first day of kindergarten in Las Vegas. And I wanted more kiddos, and I was remarried, and we were trying and nothing was happening. So long story short, our twins are fertility twins. They're not natural, as some people say. I don't know how they're not natural. I'm pretty sure they're human beings. But anyway, they are fertility twins, and wasn't really expecting twins, to be honest. So once I was told, oh, it's twins, I was like, oh no, I can't have my baby back. I'm not going to be able to breastfeed because it's twins. But that's where this story takes a really positive turn, and I learned everything I could from Michaela, my birth bestie, and she taught me how to own my birth. And even though it didn't turn out into a vaginal birth, I had a more empowering experience, C-section, that I kind of felt like I got to call the shots, and I had a birth photographer, so I felt more present. And I breastfed twins for 18 months. That's woo! Woo! So you can do it. And then we had a surprise baby that no one was expecting 3 years later. And with all that education and all of my passion towards birth and getting VBACs and home births after C-sections, I had a home birth in a bathtub in 45 minutes. So my vagina worked, everything works, and we had a baby in the bathtub, and the midwife wasn't here, our doula wasn't here, our birth photographer didn't make it. So you can do it, and you can write your own birth stories, and that is kind of how we came here, because we both have very different stories, but both positive, ending on positive notes and feeling empowered and really wanting to share the facts and the evidence and the lightheartedness to pregnancy and motherhood, but also weave in some serious stuff. I mean, we will cover some serious stuff on this podcast, but we want to try to keep it as a conversation with you so that you can hear our stories. I mean, I have 4 kids and she has 3. We've got the mug for it all and the t-shirt probably to back it up. So we hope that you enjoy following along with us and learning from us, and we want you to tell us your stories.
We absolutely would love to hear from you and have you join in on the conversation. So this is a movement for empowering women, lifting women like you up, and celebrating you in all of your glory, because there's so much mom shaming and judgment out there that we feel that the universe can be a much better place when we hold each other up, hold each other accountable, and walk with each other along the way.
So we can't wait to walk this journey with you. That's a wrap for this week's episode of Birth Bestie Radio. Thanks for joining us.